Hi, I'm Phil Berman from Catamarans, and I'm here at the Royal Cape Yacht Club in Cape Town. And I'm sitting next to Lindani Mchunu. Did I get it?
You got it,
I got it
man.
kind
You
of
got
close,
it,
even though I know
man.
he's
You
just giving
got
me
no
credit
for
for something
real.
that, yeah. So, Lindani, I met Lindani in Annapolis a couple months ago, and he came in for the Annapolis Boat Show, and he was assisting the people from the South African Embassy, and they had a nice dinner. And Lindani is very interesting. He started sailing and doing yacht deliveries and such. He's the head of the youth sailing program and academy here at the Royal Cape Yacht Club. But in addition to that, he's on the board of Sabbex, South African Boat Builders Export Council. And the reason I'm really interested in talking with him is that I like to stress how vital South Africa is to all of us in the boat building industry, the support that they give us in the South African boat building industry, and how the government is really behind what we're doing, and the efforts that they're making to sustain quality. Cybex was founded to some extent, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, some years ago when one South African builder was building some boats that weren't particularly great, and it was bringing bad tidings towards South African boat builders. So they decided to create an organization to both support boat builders, but also to create some standards and such. So I'm basically going to turn it over to Lindani to tell us about Cybex, tell us about South African boating and all the things you're involved with.
Yeah, for sure. So Cybex, which is South African Boat Builders Export Council, is made up of a group of members within South Africa, mostly in the Western Cape, Cape Town where you are, and some of them in the Eastern Cape and the more Eastern Cape with St. Francis and Knysna and all of that. And it really comes about from, as you said, Phil, from this kind of treasure trove which is South African boat building, and us trying to protect it from many elements that are out there that are untowards to our reputation, and we want to build on that. We want to make sure that we maintain that, because as I saw when I was at the Annapolis Boat Show, pretty much Americans and Europeans agree that we're making some great boats down here.
Yeah.
And the price is good and the workmanship is good, you know. So an organization like ourselves says, okay, how do we keep that going? How do we make sure that not only becomes at number 2 where we are right now in the world, but how do we become number 1? How do we support our industry? So then comes in Sabbex, who primarily really works with a department of trade and industry, which is a department in our country which, as it says, the name says, really takes care of trade and industry. Now, Sabbex is an export council because most of the South African boats, about 90% of them that are built, as you would know, Phil, they end up in America and Europe.
Yeah.
So we are part of other export councils. Maybe a lot of people would know as well that we make great wine in this country.
Yeah.
So there's an export council for that as well. So sometimes when we go to these export council meetings, we meet the guys from the wine, and they do pretty much the same thing as well, maintain the standards and so on and all of that. But the crazy thing about our industry is that a lot of South Africans know that we create great wine in this country. Across the country, everybody knows South Africa is great in wine. And everybody knows Nelson Mandela, and everybody knows Desmond Tutu, and everybody knows that we play great rugby and all of that. But the funny thing is, the whole world knows that South Africa builds great boats, and we're number 2 in the world. But not a lot of people know in South Africa that we do. So it's one of the best kept secrets. But because it's one of the best kept secrets, I personally feel, in my view, that it kind of shortchanges us. You probably would be correct in thinking, when you think an export council like wine, they can go to government or to Department of Trade and Industry and maybe ask for any kind of support that they want, because hey, they're the wine guys, you know, and everybody knows we create great wine. But us as boating, even though we're number 2 in the world, we still struggle with some things with government, and really where the perception is nobody just knows about our industry. And that goes all the way back to the history of our country. Because we're coming from a country of apartheid and all of those things, and segregation and discrimination, boating in this country started, I think, in the 60s and 70s. And it happened that it would start with white people because black people were not even exposed to it. Black people were not into boating. I'm sure they couldn't even be allowed at the Royal Cape Yacht Club where we are now.
Yes,
to
yeah,
be members.
you're a groundbreaker.
Exactly, exactly, you know.
Yeah.
So because of that, then you found a bunch of white people who love the ocean. Then they started to do the Cape to Rio race, which is coming up recently now in January 2020. So kind of boating in South Africa grew amongst the small minority of white people. They built the gunboats and they built quite a lot of stuff and they did great and fantastic, but the whole population of the country was left behind.
Yeah.
And so, 2019 now, across the country, in all industry, government is saying, how do we transform industries? How do we make industries more inclusive of the diversity of the country?
Yeah.
And for me, my biggest selling point is, a lot of people look at things like transformation and quotas as though you're taking something away from somebody and giving it to somebody else. But for me, I don't see it that way at all. For me, it's you're adding to what's already there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go and do the research. Any industry that diversifies reaps the benefits.
Yeah.
Because now you've got a bigger pool to choose from, whether it's women, whether it's black people, whether it's colored people, and we're a country of 57 million people.
Yeah.
So if you're saying you're spreading that pool,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
for people who build boats, why not have more people who can build boats with different sets of skills? And South Africans are already good with their hands.
Very good.
So why
Yeah.
not already introduce this industry to them, and then maybe we can build more boats and maybe we can see more black and colored
Yes.
boat builders and artisans and stuff like that. So in a country like ours, we have to have an organization like Sabbex, one, to of course maintain our position in the world and make sure that our boat building industry remains at a high standard, and we make sure that we protect our reputation, and we also make it easier for our local boat builders wherever there could be red tape, and we could make things easier for them and go and lobby for them within government to try and help them, whether they're having issues with launching boats in slipways. Local municipalities will tackle that issue. If they're having issues with skills development, not having enough skilled people, we need to go to government and lobby for them and try and get funds put into skills development and training of people. So you can almost look at us as a lobby group for all these boat builders that are here.
Yeah.
Lobby for them nationally here with our government to try and get help for them, to build them, to grow them, because the more they grow, jobs. That's what it means in South Africa.
Yes.
For the rest of the world, it's nothing. But for us,
Yeah.
if we're able to even grow our industry by 5 to 10% in the next 5 years,
Well, right
it's more
now,
jobs.
South African boat building, I think they said it represents about 14% of exports.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
That's huge.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
At Balance Catamarans, we're going to help you build that to 16%.
Awesome.
It's really,
Yeah.
I have to tell you, when I met you in Annapolis, I really loved your energy and the enthusiasm that you have.
Sure.
And we're just really looking forward to working with you in the years ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I think a lot of people ask me, because also I do work here with the academy, and I'm trying to get kids from the Cape Flats and the townships to get into sailing and all of that. A lot of people ask me, where do you get it from? Why the passion? And for me, it's simple. I know how I got to the position that I've gotten to, and that's because it's been my privilege. It's just the privilege that I've had. I haven't had a normal upbringing of a poor black kid.
Yeah.
And because I've had that privilege of going to good schools, getting exposure, traveling all the world, it's gotten me to a place where I can be out there in Annapolis and see what's happening, see what's cracking, and get opportunities that normally other people wouldn't get. So for me, it was quite clear that, okay, the one thing that probably people who are poor, they lack opportunity. So if I'm in a position to be where I am now, where I could open a few doors, then it's kind of like a responsibility. I have a responsibility to do that, especially because I'm kind of like a bridge. I know the two worlds. I've lived in the townships. I've got family there, but also I'm also here at the Royal Cape Yacht Club, where the township is so far. There's people who own boats and stuff. But it's my responsibility to sit down with people and members and people who have influence and people who can make changes and say to them, hey, by the way, with just a few tweaks there and there, without you even spending that much money, you could help a kid.
Yeah, sure.
Who you could probably do
Sure.
this and it would change a whole life.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, and I think it's the responsibility of people like me to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, may your tribe increase.
Fantastic.
Thank
May the
you.
tribe increase.
All
Yeah.
right.